Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, this is me. This is Demigod from in the middle of editing through episode 3 of Arrowverse Analysis, coming to tell you guys that I'm recording this 2 days before Arrowverse Analysis Part 2 is supposed to go live. And the reason that I have to add this section to the beginning of the video is because I want to let you guys know something about the background music I was using. So the background music is a song called Happy Life by Fredgy that was released on January 27th, 2017. And I was using it during episode 1 and the initial take of episode 2. However, someone got onto my video while it was privated, while it was not in a playlist, while no one other than myself had access to it. Someone by the name of Jonathan, on behalf of Inner Street Records, claimed the background music I was using as a song called 4 Doors Away by Phillips Downey, which was released on March 29th of 2018. And I listened to both tracks, and they are 1-to-1 identical. And the Fredgy track that I was using was released a year and 59 days before the Phillips Downey track that I got claimed for. So, thankfully I'm not making money off this series yet. I'm not monetized yet. But if I was, I'd be so much more pissed than I am right now. To me, right now, this is just a minor inconvenience. But if I was making money off this, then that means all of the money, all the ad revenue, everything that I would get from this episode would go to someone that falsely claimed my video. And I'd like to point out that I gave proper credit in both episodes that I used this as my background track. I listed the song, the channel that the music was provided by, and a link to the video. And literally how I found this track was I Googled no copyright background music. I just wanted something in the background of while I was talking. Because I don't know if this is how everyone feels, but me just talking at the camera like I am right now without having any background audio or anything like that, it feels awkward. It feels really awkward. But because I'm going to get claimed every time I try to use this as my background music, you're just going to have to deal with me, my voice, and my face with no background music for the foreseeable future until I can get someone to make me a custom background track exclusively for this series. I'm sorry. That's just how it's going to have to be for now. Now let's get back to the episode as I initially envisioned it, because this video is already long enough. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know about that. I already disputed the claim. I already contacted Fredgy through email and told him that people were copying his music 1-for-1 and uploading it to Inner Street Records for them to then falsely claim people and get all their ad revenue, which is very illegal, by the way. So, yeah. I just wanted to let you guys know about that. There's a fuzzy in my face. I just want to let you guys know about that. Now let's get back to the initial video as I envisioned it. I gotta get back to editing episode 3, but, yeah, if... I will, this is Editor Demigod signing off. Peace out, guys. This is Demigod Shmurda. Edge! Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, my name is Demigod Shmurda here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to Arrowverse Analysis. With the pilot officially in our rear view, it's time we take a look at the rest of what Arrow has to offer. As a series, Arrow is typically thought of as the Arrowverse's best and most consistent show, or at least it was until Superman and Lois showed up on the scene in 2021. With Arrow debuting in 2012, a whole 2 years before The Flash kicked off the superhero television boom, the show's ability to string together a consistent tone and storyline through a typical 23-episode season was truly something to marvel at. And considering that Arrow was the only series in the Arrowverse's now massive catalog to keep a consistent 20-plus episode count through basically the entirety of its run, that just shows how dedicated the writers were to getting this show right. This is the show that introduced Deadshot before he became mainstream and got played by the guy that's best known for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. This is the show that served as a great through line for the best era of the Arrowverse, which many refer to as pre-Crisis. And considering that the Arrowverse is currently falling apart with many of the shows being cancelled, delayed, being non-canon, or just not being as good as they used to be, you could say that they really need some Arrow right now. Plus, outside of a few tropes like cop dad and teen angst, Arrow doesn't really rely on any of the typical garbage CW tropes you'd expect it to. Those appear to be more modern issues surrounding the network. All of this culminates in the idea that Arrow is ahead of its time. Hence why this first season was and still is as well received as it was. If this is your first episode and you're curious about how my rating system works, there's a detailed description down below, along with a link to all my other episodes of Overanalysis. But I encourage you to watch this one first. I'm sure you'll still enjoy it. With all that out of the way, I have a few things I want to mention before we get into the episode. Firstly, I had noticed while I was editing the first episode that when Oliver looks at the building he's going to turn into the Arrow Cave, you can see its reflection in the car's mirror. However, you can clearly tell that its reflection isn't reversed. Also, the account number Oliver tells Adam Hunt to transfer the money to, 1141, is a reference to the creation of the Green Arrow character, who was created in November of 1941, hence 1141. There's also the Queen Mansion. I said in my analysis of the pilot episode that it was the same building used for Wayne Manor on Batwoman, but that's incorrect. The building used for the Queen Mansion is called Hatley Castle, and it's been used in other film franchises as well. It's used in the original X-Men films and the Deadpool movies as the X-Mansion. It was used as Lex Luthor's mansion in Smallville, and was also used as Oridon Prep in Disney's Descendants franchise. And finally, Oliver has a noticeable height advantage over Adam Hunt, being several inches taller effortlessly, and I just thought that was funny. With that out of the way, let's return to the overanalysis. Arrow's second episode, Honor Thy Father, aired on October 17th, 2012, and was directed by David Barrett, his first of only 2 contributions to the series. While trying to cross another name off his list, Oliver runs afoul of China White and the Chinese Triad. Meanwhile, in Oliver's personal life, his mother wants him to take up a leadership position at the family company Queen Consolidated, to which Oliver is vehemently opposed, as it will impede his progress to save Starling City.
We'll get the chopper back now.
That guy got shot in! That guy's dead!
No, Marcus Redmond, you failed this city.
Hey, we got our first one!
Do you have any questions about today, Oliver?
It's fine, Walter. I've been in a courtroom before.
4 times by my estimate. You know, there's the DUI, the assault on that paparazzi douchebag, stealing that taxi, which was just awesome, by the way. And who could forget peeing on the cop?
I wish everyone would.
What are you doing here?
My job.
My job, yeah.
Oliver Queen.
Emily Innocenti.
Oliver just got back from 5 years on an uncharted island. Before that, he was cheating on me with my sister. He was with her when she died. And last week, he told me to stay away from him. It was really good advice. Excuse me.
It was nice to meet you.
This is funny.
A couple of comments about the island. So what happened in there?
This happens to you a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, I forgot this was the episode they introduced the triad! Okay, so as you can see right here, this is actually a different page of the list, or rather a different copy of the page from last episode, because you can still see here Danny Brickwell, Hannibal Bates, and Adam Hunt, whose name is crossed off. But I'll put a shot up on screen here, and you can actually see Summer's name isn't where it is right here on the list. That's very interesting to call out, like, that detail. I never noticed that before.
Martin Summers, you failed this city. You're gonna confess to having Victor Nascenti killed.
Dun, 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 dun.
Now, where do you think my son is going on these chaperoneless excursions?
Ma'am, I truly do not know.
And he truly doesn't.
Then perhaps you'd like to share with me, where it is you run off to.
I like that they're doing this now.
I've been alone for 5 years. Alone.
I see.
I like that they're explaining where Oliver's going now so that that doesn't become a plot hole later. Like, Barry Allen leaves CCPD all the time. It pretty much never gets brought up outside of, like, the one time where it's like, oh yeah, Singh knew he was the Flash the entire time. No, they're explaining this now, and that's a good thing.
You ditch me one more time, no one will have to fire me.
So I guess that 911 call that we got last night from your stevedore saying that you were getting attacked by a guy in a green hood and a bow and arrow, I guess that, well, was that a practical joke? Clearly nothing happened here last night.
Walter and I have something to discuss with you. Come, please sit.
Mom, it makes me nervous when you ask me to sit down.
The company is about to break ground on a new site for the Applied Sciences Division, and we would like to honor your father by dedicating the building in his name.
Nice.
We'd like to make an announcement at the dedication that you will be taking a leadership position in the company.
No.
No, your company.
No, I don't want to lead anything. Besides, Walter is doing a very good job here.
You are Robert Queen's son.
I don't need to be reminded of that.
Well, obviously you do. 5 years ago, your irresponsibility was somewhat charming. It is a lot less so now. Hey!
Oh, because that's where his dad is.
Hey! Away from him!
Dude, this is a heartbreaking scene, dude.
This isn't about the money. I just want justice for my father.
What's going on?
What's going on is that the three of you are getting round-the-clock police protection, okay? Get used to their faces because they're going with you everywhere you go. No arguments.
I'm a lawyer. I live to argue.
I'll admit, that was a good line, honestly. That was funny.
I'm your father. I live to keep you safe.
That's a great response, too. Damn.
You're insistent on doing your job? That's great, but this is me doing mine, okay? And not just as a father, but as a cop.
I'm completely with Quentin here. He's just trying to keep his daughter safe, dude. And freaking Laurel is... I'm not 100% convinced that she can protect herself. And Martin Summers isn't... Like she said, he's in league with the Chinese triad. I'm completely with Quentin on this argument. Although, Katie Cassidy overacting definitely doesn't help Laurel's case. That is a terrible wig.
You need to take this guy seriously. He's a bigger threat to your operation than Nocenti ever was.
Except now it's Nocenti's daughter who's the problem.
Don't be an idiot. You take out Emily Nocenti and Laurel Lance will never let this go.
Then we kill Miss Lance.
I want you to know, I just finished recording episode 2. I just finished recording my watch-up episode 2. And I just found out the second half of it did not record. So now, I have to sit here for another 2 hours, record that again, say all of the same crap. This take is not going to be as good as my initial take was. I want you to know that right now. I just sat down. I enjoyed this episode a lot more than I thought I was going to initially. And now I got to watch it again, so I'm going to enjoy it a lot less. Thanks, OBS. You're great.
Sometimes when I felt whatever, I'd come here to talk to you. And the truth is, I felt closer to you when you were dead.
See, I actually really like Thea in this scene. Like, the words are right. It's just her performance is a little bit off. Willa Holland's performance isn't perfect here. Like, her vocal tone is really good. But if she was, like, if she didn't have the Amber Heard syndrome of not being able to shed tears, if she could tear up just a little bit, I think that this would have been, like, a really great scene. But no, I don't personally, I'm not annoyed by Thea just yet. But maybe that's just because I like Thea, you know? Laurel's the one that I'm really annoyed by. But, you know, we all know about that.
What are you doing here, Ollie?
I have been distant since I got back, and that it would probably be a good idea if I let somebody in.
So you thought you'd start with the first person you pushed away?
I did that to protect you. And then I saw you yesterday, and I realized that I hurt you.
See, like, the issue here isn't necessarily the dynamic between Oliver and Laurel, it's just Katie Cassidy overacting. That's literally all that it is. Like, her little, like, or her, like, come on, and, you know, stuff like that. That's the stuff that gets on my nerves. I don't think I hate the character of Laurel, necessarily. I think I really dislike this performance from Katie Cassidy. Which is a shame, because once she starts playing the other Laurel, that's when I feel like she excels, because that's when, like, her tone of voice and stuff like that fits the character. It doesn't really fit Laurel here.
My mother wants me to join the company.
Oliver, you're an adult. You can say no.
Oh, I tried.
Well, then don't tell her. Show her. Be the person that you want her to see you as. I have plenty of experience with disapproving parents.
I have been on the receiving end of your father's disapproval.
He blames himself more than he blames you.
I am sorry.
You apologized already.
And it'll never be enough.
The chemistry between Stephen Amell and Katie Cassidy still isn't there. But this is a really good scene, actually. Because Katie Cassidy, she's not overacting or over-emoting. She's not being too expressive. The script is smart enough to play to her strengths. And so it just, like, the result is just some good dialogue and a good scene. With Katie Cassidy in it, of all people. Yeah, I'll own it. I like this scene a lot.
Did you hear that? There's someone in the fire escape.
And then here comes Diggle to take out half the Chinese triad.
Are you hurt?
No.
Are you hurt, Mr. Lee?
No.
This is why it's a good idea to have a bodyguard.
Dude, you don't get much of Dig last episode. You get a lot of Dig this episode, and he is great.
Those cops that you put on me.
I went outside to ask for a light, and they were both dead in the squad car.
Miss Diggle. Thank you. Feel free to run as many red lights in the city as you want.
I was just doing my job, sir.
No, your job is protecting him.
That is such a great line, dude. That is such a great line.
Besides, I think it should be you that I'm thanking.
I got lucky.
That was a kitchen knife. It wasn't even weighted properly, yet you threw it for accuracy across a 10-foot room. And I think I'm just beginning to understand the kind of man you are. Tell Wallace to get the boat ready. I'm leaving tonight.
Wallace.
Wallace isn't here. But I am.
So this is the part of the episode where we're going to have to discuss possible off-screen kills from Oliver. And what I'm going to say is, if it doesn't happen on screen, I'm not going to count it. And the reason for that is, like, specifically in this instance, Oliver either could have killed the guy, or he could have knocked the guy out. We see he's perfectly capable of doing both. But it's left ambiguous, so I'm not going to count it.
You're done.
If you think I'm gonna abandon Emily Nocenti, then you don't know me all that well.
You don't know me well, young lady. I will lock you in a cell if that's what it takes. I thought after what happened with Sarah, stop being just so reckless. You're my only daughter, Laurel. You're all I have left to live for.
But what you want from me isn't living. Having cops around, not being able to do my job.
Your job is not going after people like the Triad or Summers.
My job is to use the law to fight for what is right. Just like you taught me.
Well, that's dirty, using me against me.
See, Laurel's a bitch here, but I also think that this is a good scene. Like, Katie Cassidy's delivery fits here because she's mad at her dad for being so overprotective. I'm on Quentin's side. I'm gonna put that out there. His reasoning behind wanting to keep Laurel safe and keep, like, extra tabs on her is that his daughter, Sarah, is dead. Yeah, wouldn't you also be a little bit overprotective of your kid if one of them's already dead? It's completely understandable. So, like, I can understand both sides of the argument here, but I think this is a good scene. Katie Cassidy had 2 good scenes this episode. Holy shit!
I gotta go. There's something's going on at the docks.
See, that guy, yeah, you heard that guy groan, right? And he goes, oh, as he fell down the stairs. He was able to verbalize something, even though Oliver shot him with an arrow. I am willing to believe this guy is still alive. So, we're gonna have to go through... This is the part of the initial recording where I was like, wait, hang on. I'm gonna have to take some kills off of his kill counter. Because some of those guys could have groaned. They might still be alive. So what my system is going to be is, 1, if it doesn't happen on screen, it doesn't count. 2, if they groan, they're not dead. There might be some specific exception to that rule later, that second rule later on, but for now, that's what I'm going to have to end up going by. So I'm going to update the kill thing at the end of this episode. I'm going to count that guy, though, because he got shot with the arrow and fell a distance that we don't see on screen. I'm going to say he's dead.
Oh, God, no! He can't help you.
That's such a great line. That is so badass.
I want the truth about Victor Vicente.
It wasn't me that killed him. It was the Triad.
Acting on whose instructions?
All right. It was mine, all right. Vicente said he was going to testify against me.
You idiot.
Of course Oliver knows Chinese. This is kind of a weirdly shot fight because China White is supposed to be... She's supposed to be like a really skilled assassin. And we don't see her landing a lot of hits, and the ones she does land, it's like they're not shot very well. Like, I think the wide shots were really good there, but the up-close shots weren't fantastic. Just because you didn't see a lot of the blows landing.
Bow down. Hands up.
How'd Oliver get that stuck to a shipping crate? God damn. We didn't see him shoot it, and I don't think a fletching could do that. Oh no, it is a fletching. I mean, that's clearly not the angle that the fletching was going, but you can clearly see that's the fletching, because that is Quentin's gun.
It was mine, all right. Vicente said he was going to testify against me.
I don't think they can use that legally because it was coerced evidence from a vigilante. I don't think they can use that in court, but that is very damning. This is such a weirdly shot sequence, and I called this out in my initial take too. So watch this very closely. You can see, like, Oliver puts the bow down a little too forcefully.
Still keep the promise I made to my father.
And you can see that blink at the end there does not look right. So watch Oliver take the bow out of the crate here.
It'll just be a...
See how forcefully he removes it from the crate, dude?
That's right. I can't.
Now see here, he puts it back in the crate so forcefully. And this blink here, especially, that is a really weird blink. I think this is something that was shot backwards. Hey, so this is me editing this a couple days later, and what I meant to say here is I said that it was shot backwards. That's not what I meant. What I meant is that it was reversed in editing and put here, and they didn't think we'd notice.
Some of you may not know me. My name is Oliver Queen.
This is such a hard scene to watch, but
See,
you
I was
know
supposed
why
to come
he's
here
doing
today,
it.
and I'm supposed to take my rightful place at the company. But I'm not my father. Please. Stop asking me to be.
Yeah, you can see this is definitely an edited version of that first page, because You can see Danny Brickwell's still here, Hannibal Bates is still here, Isabel Rochev's still down here, Adam Hunt is still crossed off, so Martin Summers is an added name on this page and they took someone out. Up, and there it is. Because his dad has it on him when he died.
Well, you saw for yourself. My son knows nothing. He has no idea that the yacht was sabotaged.
Damn, that's a reveal. You can see that he's making a grave for his dad. I forgot we got introduced to Yao Fei this early, and I still don't know why he shot Oliver. Goddamn. I enjoyed this episode a lot more than I thought I would. I'm gonna start by giving the plot a 3. This is another solid Arrow plot, but there's more sprinkled in there with the characters than last time. Plus, I think it's smart how they provide an answer to the question about where Oliver's family thinks he's going when he's suiting up. It's good to get that question answered this early in the series. I'd give it a 4, but the episode doesn't do enough new to really justify that, in my opinion. The structure of the episode is still the same as the pilot, with Oliver crossing some asshat off the list, the cops showing up to try to stop him, Thea angsting, Laurel being a brat, Tommy having some genuinely funny one-liners, and an ominous message from Moira and some dark scenery. The story structure is almost identical to the pilot, so we really need something new to spice up the show's formula. That's probably not something you'd notice on a casual viewing, though. I'm gonna give characterization a 4 here. If the pilot was the setup for these characters, this episode definitely tries to improve upon that. I complained about Thea and Laurel in the pilot, but both of them were really able to overcome their mediocre performances here and show a bit more depth, which is only a good thing. For example, Thea is still pretty bratty at the top of the episode, but once she gets more one-on-one time with Oliver, we get to see why she's been acting out. And Laurel got to have 2 legitimately good scenes this episode, which shocked me. We get to spend more time with Quentin as well, and that's always a good thing. The show's not shy about showing how much Quentin loves his daughters, and it makes sense that Sarah's death is the justification for why he's scared of Laurel getting hurt, and it's great to see that getting explained in the show. Visuals will get a 3. I think that some of the shots were great. The panoramic views of the fight at the end of the episode were cool, as well as the run-and-gun sequence where Oliver took out Summer's guys. But when it came to the up-close and personal stuff, it didn't seem like the blows had any impact. China White especially falls victim to this. I liked all the stuff on the island, though. The shots of the island have a different filter applied to them to make them seem more intense, and I think it's very atmospheric. The show does a really good job with that. Pretty solid visuals overall. I was originally going to give this episode a lower importance score, but it does a lot more than I first remembered, so I'm actually going to give it a 4. While the major thing is that this is the first appearance of China White, this episode does a lot of small things for the characters. Thea is more enjoyable here and is starting to show some bits of humanity behind her teen angst. Laurel is more enjoyable here and is starting to get over herself. Quentin's developing his hatred for the Hood. This is where Oliver and Diggle start building rapport. This is a very good episode in terms of the character interactions, and these are all important things for the rest of the season at least. And of course, we get our first introduction to Yao Fei and find out that the list is somehow connected to Moira and what's going on with her. I really misjudged this episode's role in the larger story. And as for entertainment, I'll give it a 4. Maybe it's just because I've seen the pilot more times in this episode, but it seemed like an overall more enjoyable time than the pilot was. That gives Honor Thy Father a score of 18 out of 25, which is a pretty respectable score overall. Now let's get into the next episode. Guy Norman B joins the Arrow crew for the first time to direct the show's 3rd episode, Lone Gunmen, which aired on October 24th, 2012. A company called Unidac Industries is up for auction, so one of the buyers hires a man named Deadshot to eliminate the competition. Meanwhile, Oliver finds out the truth about Tommy and Laurel being together and has to contend with what that reveal means for their friendship. I didn't want to have to wear my glasses, but I'm getting a freaking headache. And he's got blue light protection, so that should help out a bit. I want you to know I'm going to be checking every single page of this goddamn book when it shows up on screen.
Now that this lawsuit's been settled, we can focus our attention on Unidac Industries.
So here's Deadshot. Dun 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 dun. I will point out, first person dead on the list, not by Oliver's hands though. And yet he still crosses him off the list, even though he didn't get to do what he wanted to do. I mean, because he's dead, I guess, but still. Now we get our first good look at Yao Fei.
What happened? Thea okay?
Cops brought her home. She and some of her friends broke into a store, tried on some dresses last night. Lit up the breathalyzer like a Christmas tree. So how was your evening, sir?
You mean after I said I had to go to the bathroom and dinner and never came back?
I guess from now on I'll be watching you pee.
I mean, remember last time, though, and literally last episode when Diggle said that if Oliver ditched him one more time, that he wouldn't have to worry about doing it anymore and that he would quit? Yeah, I guess, one, that's not a thing anymore. But two, that's a funny-ass line.
Thea, go get ready for school.
You know, I was thinking of taking a sick day.
Fine. Then get some sleep.
She's testing you.
Yes. Who'd she learn that from?
Ooh, damn.
When I was her age, you and Dad let me get away with murder. Looking back, I could have used less space and more parenting.
Doesn't make sense.
Holder fits the profile. Wealthy dirtbag. Red meat for the hood. And we recovered at least one arrow.
Yeah, only this time the cause of death is a double tap through the heart, and our perp doesn't use firearms.
The bullets were laced with curare, a rare and deadly poison. The killer's unique MO. Interpol even has a code name for him. Deadshot.
I'll admit it is a little unrealistic that Oliver just instantly knows that it's laced with curare just from like a simple thing that he's... I mean, I guess it is like a chemical test, but still it's like... It's a little bit of a leap in logic to get Oliver, you know, to be able to hunt down Deadshot. I'll admit it. Alright, time to see the Easter eggs on Deadshot's chest. Yep, right there. There it is. Andy Diggle. Andrew Diggle. That's the one I knew about. Time to find the other ones that I don't know about. I don't know. I'll find them later.
Great spot for a nightclub or what?
Man, are you sure you want to do this? It's not like you really have any experience in running running anything. How about tomorrow night, the two of us, we go and scope out the competition. There's a new club opening downtown. It's called Poison. Max Fuller owns it.
I slept with his fiance.
Yeah, it was before the wedding.
It was at the rehearsal dinner.
The rehearsal dinner is technically before the wedding, right?
The nightclub will conceal my base underneath and provide an alibi for where Oliver Queen spends his nights.
Do you have the depots on the Jargon's case?
Yeah, they're around here somewhere. I was just surfing the net. And you don't believe me.
Well, I would have if I hadn't just got you trolling for articles on him.
It wasn't trolling.
You're stuck in the past. And the reason I know this is the fact that the only physical relationship you've had since Oliver is with his best friend. So we are going out tonight. And we are gonna have some shots, and we are gonna dance with men that we don't know, and we are gonna stay out way too late.
Look, this is cool and everything, but it is a bit unrealistic to say that Oliver would just know where to find the bullet that Deadshot shot. It's... I mean, I guess they didn't show him, like, searching for hours on end, I guess, but it's just, like, it's weird that Oliver would just be able to, like, search an alley for, like, 10 seconds and be like, oh, yeah, no, it's right there. That would be, like, a lucky guess at best. I'll admit it. I liked this episode, and I'll admit it.
The money trail leads back to the Bratva, the Russian mob. Finally, some good luck.
So Oliver got the bullet from the alley and managed to find out where Deadshot bought them from just like that. I mean, I get it. We gotta introduce the Bratva. It's a weird way to do it in retrospect. Oliver Kevin Feigeing, except without the sunglasses, so half a Kevin Feige.
Здесь никого нет с таким именем.
Я правда.
Okay, I'll admit, yeah, they have to explain this somehow. So the season 5, he has to go to Russia at some point. Okay, fine. Oliver spent 5 years on a deserted island, and we haven't gotten a line of him saying, I didn't say I found it on the island yet. So, it's like, where did Oliver get this? And, of course, I know where he got it because I've seen the entire show. But at this point, it's like, you don't know that. And you're still under the impression that he spent 5 years on an island. On a deserted island. So did he get it before? Did he get it in the midst of when he came back? You don't get an answer in this episode. And it's... I'm not going to say that it's an entire plot hole because they do go back. Because they do go and explain it later. It's like half a plot hole, though. It's not like a large plot hole, but it's like, it's a little baby plot hole.
I'm in the market for a hired gun. Someone the organization has used before. His calling card is a 7.62 millimeter round laced with curare.
I know no man who uses such tools.
But you can find out who does.
So if the money trail leads back to the Bratva, but Alexei doesn't know who it is, how does that work? This baby plot hole is starting to become slightly bigger as the episode goes on. Ah! Oh, I recognize this one immediately. Looks like he's mostly known for cinematography on a bunch of DC shows. He did the pilot of The Flash. Looks like up to season 2 on Arrow. Oh, he's going to be the producer on the Winchesters. I didn't know that. Looks like he's directed a lot in the Arrowverse too. A couple Batwoman, couple episodes of Legends, some Supergirl. Did the Stargirl pilot. That's interesting. Here you get a better shot of Andrew Diggle. Oh, and the name next to him, Gordon Verhoeven. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It looks like he was also a cinematographer on Arrow. Yo, he's doing Superman and Lois now as director of photography. He directed a couple Arrow episodes too, though it looks like they were all like season 4 through 6. And dude, Ken Shane is on there too. Ken Shane did Alien 3? And yo, he's also an Arrow cast member, or crew member, rather. And let's keep in mind, these are just the ones that I have the patience to look up in the moment. Holy crap.
Your husband's looking into buying Unidac Industries, and the competition seems to be dropping like flies.
And I'm sure your veiled accusation has nothing to do with how you feel about my family.
There are many prospective buyers, and the auction's tomorrow. So, if I was taking out the competition, I'd have a lot of killing to do in a very short amount of time.
I don't see your name on the list.
Miss Queen, I have never seen this guy before in my life. Ever.
It is a wonder that Diggle hasn't quit yet, dude.
Big brother! Oh, I am so wasted right now. There's 2 of you.
You are hanging with the wrong people.
You're one to talk.
Thea, maybe you shouldn't...
Tommy, I think your BFF has a right to know. I guess they never told you that they've been screwing while you were gone.
Look, man,
Tommy, it's okay.
And all of the development that Thea made last episode just got... Yeah.
Told you he was gonna be pissed.
Back off, Merlin. This isn't your problem.
You want to get to him? You got to go through me.
It is...
They're probably going to go through me.
I was just about to say it's admirable of Tommy, and then he says that. It's great. I mean, I know you're going to, dude, but I wouldn't. Dude, it really is hard to tell what on the island is CG and what is shot on set, dude. Or rather, on site, not on set. Or I guess on set is also a word. And then there's this trap. Big Belly Burger! Do I need to do a Big Belly Burger counter? Not that it shows up a lot, but it shows up often enough. God, fine! Big Belly Burger counter. We're doing it. God, I hate myself right now.
Why don't you guys take a seat, and I will grab a couple of burgers and some ice for those faces.
Oh, girl's pretty cute.
That's my sister-in-law.
Who I will never speak to or look at. Ever. Gonna grab a booth.
She's not wearing a wedding ring. Brother out of the picture?
I was gonna tell you. I was just trying to figure out the right way.
To tell somebody that you slept with their girlfriend after they went missing and were then presumed dead. What, there's no greeting card for that?
Typically, CW shows will take this like one little lie thing and then stretch it out and it becomes this subplot that lasts like 7 episodes. Dude, this show really was ahead of its time. The typical CW tropes haven't set in yet, outside of like maybe hard-ass cop dad and I don't need your protection and teen angst. And even then, hard-ass cop dad is also like one of the sweetest characters on the entire show. Teen angst gets gotten over fairly soon, if I remember correctly, though I could be wrong about that. Maybe that one's wishful thinking. And I don't need your protection is just Laurel's entire character until she dies. And then we get second Laurel and she's better, so.
It's a Russian model calling me. Can I have a minute, please?
I can see now why you were able to be so chill.
His name is Floyd Lawton. I have address where he stayed last time he was in Starling City, but that is all.
I like that they kept the wrist blasters for the show and they didn't just make it like they didn't just give him a handgun. It really distinguishes him. It really makes him Deadshot. It doesn't make him just some guy.
Felicity Smoke? Hi, I'm Oliver Queen.
Of course. I know who you are. You're Mr. Queen.
No, Mr. Queen was my father.
Right, but he's dead. I mean, he drowned. But you didn't, which means you could come down to the IT department and listen to me babble.
I'm having some trouble with my computer, and they told me that you were the person to come and see.
These look like bullet holes.
My coffee shop is in a bad neighborhood.
And she does not buy it, and she's gonna help him anyway. I think Felicity was intended to be just like a one-off character, though, so that's weird. But the more that Oliver keeps asking Felicity for help, it builds up and builds up and builds up. And she never believes him. At all. So it's like a... Man, this episode's plot... Like, the plot around, like, Unidac and stuff like that, like, it's a good storyline. And with Deadshot especially, I think it's good. But it's like... There is so many leaps in logic that it takes to get from point A to point B. I'm sorry. I like this episode.
You want to wear the Calvin Klein or the Zach Posen to Walter's stock auction?
I think I'd rather be grounded.
Robert was always so good at getting through to you. I was always so jealous of that.
You never talk about him.
Well, I think you and I have gotten into some bad habits. There's been a lot that has changed recently, Thea, and I think that maybe this can change too.
It looks like blueprints.
Do you know what of?
It's where the Unidac Industries auction is scheduled to take place. Mr. Steele is trying to buy Unidac Industries. And you've got a company laptop associated with one of the guys he's competing against.
Floyd Lawton.
No. Warren Patel.
Warren Patel, yep.
Floyd Lawton.
He is an employee of Mr. Patel. I can't protect all of Deadshot's targets. I can't do this alone.
See, that's one of the times that I actually appreciate Oliver's inner monologue. Because it would seem weird for him to just ask the police for help. It would seem like it would come out of nowhere. So Oliver doesn't need to verbalize it, but the fact that he thinks it, and we hear that thought of like, I can't do this alone, I need help. See, that's one of the times where the inner monologue works, and I actually like it.
Floyd Lawton's the one targeting the buyers interested in Unidac Industries. I can't be sure who they're targeting. It might be all the buyers, and I can't protect them in a space that big. I need your help.
And he left the computer with all the information. Hey, look at that.
Thanks for coming, Thea. Means a lot to your mother. And me.
Warren Patel, I need you to come with me, sir.
I need you to get them out of here right now.
Damn.
Are you okay? You hurt?
No, I'm fine. Where's Walter?
Walter's fine. Sir, I have to get you out of here. No, that. No, I'll find him, man. I'll find him.
Because Oliver's gonna help. And of course, he stored his stuff in the garbage can. Oh my god! Dude! That is the same shot from the pilot. It is the exact same, down to the freaking arrow. You can see this wall, this is the exact same wall as on Adam Hunt's building. What really gives it away is this spot right here and this spot right here, and the fact that it's the same grappling cable arrow. They reused the same shot and flipped it. Wow, dude. I'll put up on screen the original so that we can compare. Dude. I can't believe that. Oh, that was cool. Got him in the eye. Ooh, Dig got hit and the bullet's poisoned. How did Diggle even get there? Dude. Ha ha ha. How did Diggle even get there? Because we saw him. He had to grapple arrow over to either another building or he grappled to like the top of an adjacent building and like swooped down or something like that. Dude, this episode's plot has so many holes. This episode is a piece of Swiss cheese.
一个人留在这里太危险。他们会杀掉你。
And there's the first time we see Fire's men. And you can ask the question, why didn't Oliver bring him to the hospital? But Oliver didn't bring him to the hospital because then he'd die. The hospitals don't have what it takes to cure a specialized poison like curare. At least I wouldn't think so. No, that's not the stupidest thing in this scene. The stupidest thing in this scene is this.
Hey.
Hey. I do have a soft spot for this episode since it was the show's introduction to Deadshot, but I don't really think I saw this episode's flaws until this viewing. If anything though, that just goes to show you that you will often find something new when you watch things multiple times. I'd like to give the episode a higher plot score, but I can't give it more than a 2. I do like how Arrow knew it was being a little too formulaic, and so it decided to introduce Deadshot to try and break the formula. I think it overall worked in the episode's favor by having Oliver commit to stopping this guy that's not on the list, but that doesn't mean the episode doesn't have any problems. There's the stuff with the Bratva, Oliver's identity reveal, the bullet stuff, Felicity. I've already talked about it during the episode, so I won't repeat myself. The episode's plot really is like a piece of Swiss cheese. But I will give credit where it's due. It is smart for Oliver to build a nightclub as cover for him being the Hood at night, so they do get some points for that. Characterization, I'll give a 3. There's not really anything that stands out super well here. The characters are fine. Deadshot just kind of comes off as a generic one-off villain, and while I think that was cool for the time, it's not great for a show that should be building up Oliver's rogues gallery. Deadshot's not dead, but the audience doesn't know he's going to show up again, and there's not really much to him in this episode either. I'm mixed on Thea as well. I'm glad we got that moment of understanding between her and her mom, but it feels like we should have already been heading in this direction from last episode. I guess it's good to see her trying to understand her mom a little bit more, but my patience and ability to justify Thea's angst is wearing thin. Visuals are going to get a 2. There's not much visually interesting in this episode. I was actually kind of let down by the fight between Oliver and Deadshot. They were just kind of hitting each other, and people want to get on the season 4 finale for Oliver and Damien Dark just hitting each other being so lame. Deadshot did it first. The fights in the show have been serviceable so far, but they pale in comparison to what James Bamford is truly capable of. I will admit, though, it is cool that they gave Deadshot his wrist guns from the comics. He could have easily just had a handgun or something like that, but they went the extra mile, and I appreciate that. Importance, though, will jump back up to a 5. This is the first episode where Oliver reveals his identity to someone, that being Diggle. And Diggle is a character that sticks around for the remainder of the show. So it's important to have seen that scene. Plus, we get the introduction of Deadshot, and this is not the last time we'll be seeing that character. And Oliver getting a suit from a garbage can is given a weird amount of focus here, but that's because it's important for the next few episodes. Plus, this episode also introduced Felicity, who also sticks around for the rest of the show. In the grand scheme of things, you really can't skip this episode. And I'll give entertainment a 4. The episode does have some problems, but it's still fun, and that's one of the major takeaways. That gives Lone Gunmen a score of 16 out of 25, which is actually lower than I thought it would be, so let's see if the next episode can get a higher score than this one. Vincent Misiano's only contribution to the series was his direction of the show's 4th episode, An Innocent Man, which aired on Halloween 2012. A man named Peter Declan is facing execution for his wife's murder, but after learning that Declan's wife worked for someone on the list, Oliver sets out to prove Declan's innocence. Meanwhile, Walter discovers some mysterious funding errors at Queen Consolidated that lead him to a disturbing revelation about Robert Queen's disappearance.
Starling City is dying. It is being poisoned by a criminal elite who don't care who they hurt, as long as they maintain their wealth and power.
What are you gonna do? Take them all down by your lonesome?
No, I want you to join me. You're a fellow soldier.
Oliver, you're not a soldier. You're a criminal.
Dun 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 dun. I wonder how many times I can do that before it gets old.
What am I supposed to do with that? Does that mean bird? I'm sorry, Laurel. I'm so sorry.
Why can't you sleep?
Bad dreams.
About?
Laurel,
So why don't you make a play?
I'm not the same person I used to be.
So show her. Be yourself. I mean, your new self.
We have a visitor.
Mr. Diggle's replacement. He said he didn't approve of the way you spend your evenings, particularly given that they always begin with you ditching him.
Declan's execution is set for midnight 2 days from now. Camille Declan's former employer, Jason Brodeur, released a statement.
Ooh, Jason Brodeur. Yep. I completely forgot about whether or not they connected this episode to the list.
What?
The dead wife worked for Jason Brodeur.
See, right here, this is showing that Oliver has an encyclopedic knowledge of everybody on that list. He would recognize the name Isabel Rochev. Dude, come on, that's a... Then again, when you try to analyze series like this and you lump everything in together, there's some of it that's going to get forgotten about, left on the cutting room floor. I guess this is just one of those things with Isabel Rochev. I'm gonna have to let it go at some point, and I'm not going to. When we get to the Flash, you'll see why.
We're 20 miles from the city. If you don't drive me, how else am I gonna get there?
Watch this! Jumps out on his bike. Dude, I love that they show Oliver making arrows. It's something they don't have him do in later seasons.
Don't move!
I'm not gonna hurt you. Peter Declan is gonna be executed in 48 hours. I think he's innocent.
There are 1,000 lawyers in Starling City. Why me?
Because I know you'd do anything to save the life of an innocent man.
So whatever this building is, it's used as the Iron Heights Penitentiary on The Flash as well. Both in the flash forwards to 2049 and in the present day. I remember in the Armageddon crossover, we can see Barry running in and out of this bottom section down here. So that's very interesting that it's doubles as whatever the Starling City Penitentiary is.
But I didn't kill my wife. I didn't take my daughter's mother from her.
Your neighbors said they heard an argument that night.
We had a knockdown fight over Jason Brodeur. Camille worked for him. And his company had been dumping toxic waste into the glades. And Camille told me that she'd gone and told the supervisor about it. I was afraid for my family's safety. And we argued. Izzy started crying. So Camille went and stayed in her room. In the morning, I went to apologize, and that's when I found her.
Compliance department's tagged something. $2.6 million withdrawal from one of our Vancouver subsidiaries.
Are you saying that someone embezzled $2.6 million from the company?
Well, it's probably a bookkeeping error, but compliance is understandably worried about an IRS audit.
If $2.6 million is like a minor booking error, how much is Queen Consolidated making? And what does Queen Consolidated even do?
Declan said his wife went to her supervisor with allegations that Brodeur was dumping toxic waste.
Yeah, but that supervisor, he said that never happened. Let me see, what was his name? There you go. Istuk. Matt Istuk. He said he didn't even see Camille that day.
I couldn't help but notice a distinct lack of police cars when I got home. I knew you wouldn't drop a dime on me. This was my father's. I found it when I buried him.
I thought you said your father died when the boat went down.
We both made it to a life raft, but there wasn't enough food and water for both of us, so he shot himself in the head. And as much as he was doing it to give me a chance to survive, I believe that he was also atoning for his sins. I need to right the wrongs done by my family, and I'm offering you the chance to right the wrongs done to yours. The police never caught your brother's shooter.
Hey, you leave Andy out of this.
The bullets were laced with curare. That's Floyd Lawton's MO. He is the sniper that I stopped. People like my father, they see nothing wrong with raising themselves up by stepping on other people's throats. It does need to stop. And if it's not going to be the courts, and it's not going to be the cops, then it's going to be me. And I hope you.
I'm gonna go to the washroom, Rob.
Oh, that boy's long gone, man.
So great, dude.
Declan said his wife blew the whistle on Brodeur the day she was murdered.
Then we need to get whoever she told about Brodeur to testify.
He already has. Matt Istuk, Camille's supervisor.
He hasn't been questioned by me.
I've got one question. Why am I being fired? Letting me go would be a major error for this company.
I agree, which is why you're not being fired. It's because I wanted you to look into something for me. A variance of $2.6 million on a failed investment from 3 years ago. It's authorized by my wife. I was hoping you could find out some of the details of the transaction for me.
Find out.
Dig up. Discreetly.
Matt Istuk. Peter Declan. Your lies helped put him on death row. Now either it's time to tell me the truth, or it's time for the 1015 to Bloodhaven.
Brodeur paid me to say that Camille never spoke to me, but I didn't have anything to do with her death. You can have the file.
What file?
Camille gave me a file of evidence against Jason Brodeur.
Where is it?
Let me go and I'll tell you. Wait, don't go. Wait, don't go. It's in my desk. The file's in my desk at the office. You can have it.
What is that?
I'm so hungry.
Hey.
I'm not gonna kill the bird.
Compliments of Mattis took
What's in here?
leverage on Jason Brodeur. Enough to help save Peter Declan's life.
So why are you grinning?
I took your advice with Laurel to be myself.
And?
It's helping.
Like a mad relationship skills, bro.
Rob, you gotta keep up.
Matt Istook, he filed a police report. He said the hood harassed him last night. And that's funny because I give my daughter Istook's name.
Dad,
He's a vigilante. He's a damn criminal, and you working with him, that makes you an accessory.
I am trying to save an innocent man's life.
You're breaking the law.
Your Honor, the mere existence of the file proves that Mr. Istook perjured himself for Jason Brodeur's benefit.
Ours isn't a court of justice, Miss Lance. It's a court of law. And under the law, I don't think your evidence is sufficient to warrant a stay of execution.
She's gonna want to meet with her client after what happened in court today. We have friends up in Iron Heights. Prison can be a dangerous place.
What do you need to free Peter Declan?
Nothing short of a signed confession from Brodeur. Where are you going?
To get a confession.
The money was used to set up an offshore LLC called Tempest. In 2009, Tempest purchased a warehouse in Starling City.
You know, when I was in Afghanistan, I had a job, and I did it. I miss feeling like I'm making a difference in the world.
Then get out of personal security and go do something you believe in.
Yeah, what if it's wrong?
John, if you believe in something, how can it be wrong?
You're gonna confess that you arranged to have Peter Declan's wife murdered.
What, so I can take his place in prison?
So you can avoid the death penalty.
Except if I'm dead. Well, then you got no one to pin Camille's murder on.
Why don't people do that more often, dude? Where they're like, give me what I want, or I will kill you. Why doesn't the guy just point out, that's stupid. If you're gonna kill me, then you can't get what you want. It makes so much sense to me.
Just answer it.
What?
Zankov, it's going down. 1 hour.
What's going down in an hour?
Peter Declan's execution. It's getting moved up.
Time to unlock the cages.
Let's go.
I mean, I guess I understand why he went, and why he let the devil out, but it's like, it was so overboard.
You were right. Brodeur's bodyguard just confessed to Camille Declan's murder. We got the wrong guy.
Well, listen to me, Laurel. I'm right, too, about him. He's dangerous. He's outside the law.
I know. I looked in his eyes. It's like he had no remorse.
Because we know Oliver is very capable of killing people. But, as I'm consistently very eager to point out, all of the people on the list are still alive. Or at least all the people that on the list that Oliver's gone after haven't been killed by Oliver's hands. So it's like, Oliver has enough self-control. So it's like, you know? I guess putting Laurel directly in the line of fire is what made him go and, let the devil out, but it's still like, I'm not willing to believe Oliver, this Oliver, season 1 Oliver is a killer just yet.
How did he get into that prison anyway, huh?
He was in a prison guard uniform and a ski mask.
Which, even then, I feel like the ski mask would have given him away. So why didn't he just wear the arrow suit? It's odd. It's a very odd plot choice, and it's only, like, right at the end where they're starting to screw up with it, kinda. So it's like, Oh, yeah. And then we have this. So this is clearly a photo of, like, a model of it that they took and enlarged. And then they put Walter's head here. I will say, though, I appreciate the little detail that you can see him here. Oh no, his head does move independently of the zoom. So yeah, it's just like they filmed him over a green screen and put this image over it. And then they zoomed the image in as they moved the camera in editing.
I want you to look for anything that's out of the ordinary, okay? Just look.
Of course, he doesn't have to be wearing the suit. That's why they had him do that. It's
Hey, what?
still a weird plot element, though, because again, I feel like the ski mask would have given Oliver away. And I feel like even this guy would have seen Oliver get his suit from the garbage can anyway, so it's like...
I'll be damned. Play that again.
I think there's someone that wants to see you.
No, that's sweet.
生存.
Yeah. Bird, I know.
生存 not mean bird. 生存 mean survive. You won't survive this place. But not last thing you kill. And forget her.
Jason Brodeur, Adam Hunt, Warren Patel.
He's not targeting the rich.
No, he's not. He's targeting the list.
Dude, that's such a cool way to reveal that they know about the list that Robert kept, dude. The list of all the people in frickin' Starling City that screwed everyone over. It's such a great reveal. And it's great that they're addressing it early, because then it becomes an element that gets talked about, because now we know that Moira knows about the list 100%, and it's not just like some symbol that's on the front of the journal. Dude.
Fighting for this city needs to be done, and you're gonna do this with or without me. You are fighting a war, Queen. Except you have no idea what war does to you. How it scrapes off little pieces of your soul. And you need someone to remind you who you are, not this thing you're becoming.
Hey, what the hell's going on?
Detective Ross. What's
Oliver Queen,
happening?
you're under arrest on suspicion of obstruction of justice, aggravated assault.
Walter, stop that!
Trespassing, acting as a vigilante. Are you out of your mind? And murder.
You have the right to remain silent if you give up that right.
That's such a great end to the episode, and you guys don't get to see the freaking payoff of it until next week! I'm gonna give the plot a 4. This is where Arrow is really starting to kick it into high gear. We're finding out the plot about the list and how Moira and Malcolm know about it and are connected to it. And the plot with Brodeur was great too. I especially like that Oliver isn't trying to get everyone on the list in the same way. He got Adam Hunt in a different way than he got Martin Summers, and Brodeur in a different way than both of them as well. It really shows that even though Arrow has a formula and is sticking to it, the writers are smart enough to have a bit of variation in the ways that plot is being recycled. I can't give it a 5 though, because 2 reasons. One, I literally cannot recall why Moira had the Queen's Gambit wreckage recovered, and I don't think it's very important. It just serves as this awkward way to get Walter to investigate Moira's shady dealings. And also, Oliver wearing that prison guard uniform still would have been noticed by security guards eventually. Although I guess the prison was in the middle of a riot, so maybe not, but he did have his bow and quiver on him as well, so... Characterization will get a solid 4. Thea's role is inoffensive for once. I actually really liked Thea this episode. I think this was the first episode where Laurel was treated like a real character the entire way through as well. She's determined, but not in an annoying way. She doesn't have any moments that really damage her. If anything, it's actually Oliver who takes a hit here. He has no qualms about killing people, but to go so far as to call him a killer still seems like a stretch to me, since if he really wanted to, he could just kill everybody on the list and save Starling City that way. He's actively choosing to spare these horrible people and humiliate them instead. Oliver has a lot of self-control to not just off everybody on the list, so him going after that random inmate seems a little bit out of character. On the plus side, though, this is probably Diggle's best episode in the show yet, and his reasons for joining Oliver's crusade absolutely make sense. Visuals will only get a 2. Outside of that scene at the train tracks, there's not much visually interesting that happens in this episode. The fights, if you could call them that, were lacking. I wouldn't say the episode looks bad, but it definitely doesn't stand out. Importance is going to get a 5, though. This episode pushes the story forward in a lot of ways, and while there's some stuff you could interpret if you didn't see this episode, like Diggle joining the team and Laurel being anti-vigilante because of Quentin, this episode expands upon it. We learn why Diggle makes the decision to join Oliver. We learn why Laurel goes against Oliver as the Hood. And plus, this is the episode where we find out Moira and Malcolm know about the list, which is very important for the season as a whole and Malcolm's role in all this. And entertainment will get a solid 4. There's enough levity with Oliver's new bodyguard thrown in there, and there wasn't any moment in the episode that was boring. Plus, that cliffhanger throws the show into high gear for the next episode. And I didn't even realize Tommy wasn't in this episode, and I was still enjoying myself, so that's pretty cool. That leaves An Innocent Man off with a score of 19 out of 25, which makes it the show's highest scoring episode yet, but we've still got a long way to go, and that's not a score to scoff at. With all that said, let's get into the wrap-up. After some close examination of the pilot episode, I have determined that every kill I counted in that episode is valid, except this one. Oliver used this guy as a human shield, snapped this guy's neck, got Dracon with a fletching from his suit, also used this guy as a human shield, and this guy hits the trigger of his gun when he dies, indicating that his body's gone limp. The only kill in the episode that's up for question is this one, where Hunt's bodyguard grunts upon being hit. As we determine in my breakdown of Honor Thy Father, not everyone that gets hit with an arrow dies. Some of them grunt, like this guy that gets hit head-on and is still grunting and groaning as he falls down the stairs. As such, this is the only kill I'll be retracting, and the counter will be adjusted accordingly. With that established and 3 more episodes in our rear view, I want to know what you guys think about these episodes, so I'm going to link a poll down below asking what your favorite episode we watched today was. Try not to base your answer on my ratings and just take your own judgment and enjoyment into account. But anyway, that is it for this episode, guys. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already so that you can join us as soon as freaking possible. And while I'm plugging everything else, be sure to click the bell so that you get notified whenever we upload any of these crappy videos. But apart from that, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. This is Demigod Shmurda. Edge!